In the beginning of the drama, we see female lead Linshin. She is attending a board of directors meeting with her bodyguard. Actually, she needs a bodyguard every time now because her eyesight was lost due to an accident a few days ago. She is blind now. Her handsome bodyguard is the male lead Zhao Mu. Linshin gets a call from her fiancé Qi Shen, who tells her, "Please don't come here because there is a trap and it is dangerous for you," but she says, "No, I have to handle Dad's company. I'm ready to face any danger." But the bodyguards were not allowed to go inside, so Zhao Mu takes off his necklace and puts it around her neck and tells her that there is a button on it. If there is any problem, any kind of danger, you just need to press it and I will arrive you to save you. As soon as she goes inside, it is revealed that her fiancé Qi Shen is being held captive, and there are a lot of shareholders there too. These people start harassing Linshin, they torture her, and want to force her to sign some documents. They says, "Mr. Lin is dead, and now you are a blind girl, so you cannot handle this company. Give this CEO position to us." They wanted to take her shares in their name. In the meantime, she presses the button present on the necklace, and then they try to snatch it from her. Then her dad's suitcase, which was their last sign, also falls there. They crush her hand and also burn that suitcase. They start saying that you couldn't save him. Will you be able to save your dad's company? At the same time, Zhao Mu is fighting with the goons and fighters present there to save his boss. He defeats all of them. Then he reaches there at the right time when they are about to put her thumbprint on the document. He arrives and protects Linshin. He carries her and runs from there. Those people are chasing them, as both of them hid in one place. Zhao Mu placed his hand on her face and said, "Calm down." Then Linshin recalled some memories. She remembered when her eyes were fine, her dad died, and on the same day, someone entered in her house, and she says, "You were the one who did that." But due to shock, she faints there. When she regained consciousness, she was at home. Zhao Mu had protected her. He began giving her medicine for the fever. She scolded him, "You are a murderer. I suspect you. You killed my dad, and now you are pretending to be my bodyguard, following me around." Zhao Mu responded, "You don't have any proof for this, and you can't even fire me because your dad hired me." He then played a recording of her dad saying, "I have hired Zhao Mu for 5 years. Linshin replied, "Okay, then let me check who you really are. I need proof that you didn't kill my dad." A flashback showed that on that day, Zhao Mu had forcibly kissed her to divert the bodyguard's attention. Enraged by the kiss, Linshin picked up a knife and attacked him. Now she felt that the wound was so deep that it would leave a scar on his body. She said, "Okay, let me check. Take off your clothes." Zhao Mu hesitated and said, "You should be a little ashamed, Ms. Linshin. You are engaged." But Linshin, determined, made him remove his shirt and started touching his body. When her hand reached his heart, she could feel that it was beating very fast. She asks him, "Why is your heart beating so fast?" He replied, "It's the first time any girl has touched me like this. The heartbeat will be fast. It's natural." After that, she noticed the wound. Then, he starts showing her the scars on his body at different places and says, "It's my duty to be like this." Linshin quickly left the room, feeling nervous. She then goes to Qi Shan's room, where her fiancé was present with his girlfriend. His girlfriend is Yue Wei. Actually, Yue Wei lives at Linshin's house. She was the daughter of their housekeeper and a childhood friend as well. She was the friend Linshin trusted the most, but she did not know that she was cheating with Qi Shan. Linshin, very scared at this time, starts telling Qi Shan, "I don't trust my bodyguard. He was the one who entered my house on the day my dad died. He tried to hide in my room first, and after that, he went upstairs to meet my dad. There was a fight between my dad and him about something. I saw it with my own eyes. I think he is the murderer of my dad, and now he has entered my house." But Qi Shan calms her down and says, "It is all just because of the trauma that you are having these illusions. There was no suspicious activity on that day, no footage of any man entering the house forcefully. Your dad's death was not a murder. It was a natural death." Then a flashback shows that on the day of her dad's death, Linshin's head had hit the stairs while she was running down, causing brain bleeding. This led to temporary visual problems, and she wasn't able to see anything. The doctors also said that he would be fine with time, and his eyesight could be back. On the other hand, the bodyguard, Zhao Mu, goes to Linshin's dad's study after Linshin goes to sleep. He opens the locker and starts looking for documents. Linshin gets suspicious and reaches the room. The bodyguard tries his best to save himself, but at that moment, a book is about to fall on Linshin. To prevent her from getting hurt, he comes forward and catches the book. He gets caught but couldn't let Linshin get hurt. She starts saying again, "Now I am completely sure. I will find evidence against you." He grabs her neck and says, "Why don't you trust me? If I had killed your dad, you wouldn't be alive today." At this point, Qi Shan and Yue Wei reach there after hearing the noise. Linson says, "There is a hidden camera in my dad's study. I want to see its footage." The bodyguard then takes out that camera and gives it to her. Then, she gives that card to Yue Wei and says, "You guys are trustworthy. Check this footage and tell me if the bodyguard is in it." But as soon as Yue Wei goes to her room to pick up her laptop, she edits that video. Then, when she plays it in front of everyone, there is nothing suspicious in it. Qishan tells her, "See, there is nothing in this footage, so you should calm down now. Your dad's death was not a murder, but a fatal accident." After that, Qishan goes to Yue Wei alone and she says to him, "I had already deleted that card which was creating problems." Qishan gets relieved and takes that card from her. After that, they show the bodyguard, Zhao Mu, who has completed his work and is now going back to his house. There, he had tied up someone who is actually Zhao Mu, and male lead's original name is Chen Mu. He had stolen Zhao Mu's identity, pretended to be him, and went to Linson. Actually, from now on, we will be calling him Chen Mu. Chen Mu had entered Mr. Lin's house for some reason due to his anterior motive. Mr. Lin had stolen some documents from his dad. He wanted to find those documents to prove his dad innocent because his dad's business was ruined, and because of this, his dad died. Now, it's the next morning. Chen Mu comes with a white rose and places it on her bedside table. Then, he prepares a delicious coffee for Linson, just like she always had. But Linson still suspects him. She starts saying, "Don't try to act smart in front of me." But he says, "Why are you being so suspicious? I came to take you for breakfast. My work is to keep you safe." He then takes her downstairs for breakfast. Yue Wei is sitting there, holding a bowl of porridge in her hand. She wanted to put it in Linson's hand, but the bodyguard steps forward and stops Yue Wei and saves her. From this, Yue Wei understands this bodyguard has become a problem to them. They have to get rid of this bodyguard, Chen Mu. Only then can we harm Linson. After breakfast, Linson is ready to go to her housekeeper. This maid had been working at her house for many years, but suddenly stopped coming. Linson is having a hard time because of her blindness. She keeps bumping into things, but her bodyguard helps her. He carries her and puts her in the car. Then he helps her put on the seatbelt and says, "Your dad hired me for this work. I have already been paid in advance. I am just doing my duty." When they are close to their destination, Linson orders, "Let's walk the rest of the way as the road is blocked." While crossing the road, he gives her full support, but she starts taunting him, saying, "This is a great opportunity for you. Leave me here. Any car will come and kill me." But the bodyguard says, "You are very cunning. Are you trying to find evidence against me by turning on your recorder at this time? Also, I'll tell you that I could have killed you before. I have many chances on the road, so don't think anything suspicious and come to Miss Wang's house." Then he picks up the stick and takes her to her destination. On the other hand, Yue Wei is sitting in Linson's room, and she picks up her engagement ring and puts it on. As soon as they reach Miss Wang's house, the bodyguard gives her back her necklace and himself goes inside the house to search, but he did not know that there was a trap set for him. There were some goons standing outside who attack them. The bodyguard is fighting with those goons inside, while outside Linson is surrounded by them. They start saying, "Your fiancé gave us a lot of money. We will torture you until you return it." At the same time, the bodyguard pushes aside the goons inside and comes outside to protect Linson. He picks up Linson and holds her tight, then he fights with all of them. Then those goons pull out a knife. The bodyguard comes in front of Linson and takes that knife wound on his body. Linson faints after seeing this. Then, he carries her and takes her from there. As soon as he reaches home, we find out that this was all done by Qishan and Yue Wei. They just wanted the bodyguard to go there and kill him. But Linson also went with him, so their plan was ruined. Yue Wei advises Qishan, Linson already suspects her bodyguard. She will fire him one day, on her own. On the other hand, Linson is very worried about the bodyguard. She checks his wound, but he wakes up from sleep and gets embarrassed and wears his shirt. Then she says, "You should stay in room today, don't go anywhere. You have a serious injury." But he says, "It's part of my duty and I will continue to do my duty as usual. Why are you being so polite with me? I am not used to this. Moreover, are you not suspecting me now that I killed your father?" But she says, "You risked your life because of me. Okay, I am grateful, but it doesn't mean that I stopped suspecting you." After saying this, she leaves, but the bodyguard, while lying down, he starts seeing Linson in his dreams. He remembers the time they spent together. He feels that Linson is standing near him. He asks her without opening his eyes, "What do you want?" Then he sees that his friend Zhao Mu is standing there. He was worried because Chen Mu did not return home today, so he came to find him and says, "Don't get involved in this matter. Why are you risking your life for that girl?" At that time, Linson also comes there. She was going to give him medicine, but he grabs her and takes her back to the room and does not let her know that Zhao Mu is there. The next morning, the bodyguard is taking Linson to the table as usual. Today, he is also teaching her some things. He holds her hand and teaches her everything, like on which side will be your glass of water and milk, how to have your breakfast, and how to keep yourself safe. After breakfast, Chishan calls Linson for a meeting. They are discussing about her dad. He has been dead for a few days ago. Now it is time for his funeral. His post-mortem has been done, and every detail reveals that it was an accidental death. Nobody killed him. For the peace of your father's soul, it is time to give him a proper burial. In the evening after the funeral, Linson is missing her dad very much, and she is crying. The bodyguard feels upset for her. He brings soup for her and says, "I understand your pain because my dad also died and I attended his funeral too. Mr. Lin's last rites were very peaceful, but my dad's wasn't. All the debt collectors came to his funeral as he had borrowed money from many people, and they created a huge scene there. In a flashback, we see that his dad had invested all his money in one place. Then, his friends cheated him, and he lost all his money. At the end, he took his own life due to these debt collectors. The next morning, a maid comes to Linson and says, 'Someone came to give you something.' It was a pen drive, and there was a message with it too. The message said, 'I am your well-wisher. Zhao Mu is your bodyguard, but he is not the real Zhao Mu.' As her eyes are not working, she goes to Yue Wei, whom she trusts, and asks her to check it. She finds out that the bodyguard is not Zhao Mu, but Chen Mu. Actually, Chen Mu is a doctor, and he is specialized in cardiac surgery. She also comes to know that he has a scar on his abdomen. After hearing this, her suspicion of the bodyguard deepens. The next evening, as soon as Chen Mu comes to her, she says, "Your dad is not alive, and neither is mine. Will you join me in a drink to share my grief?" But he says, "I don't drink much," but she says, "You are employed by me, I am ordering you." Then she forces him to drink. When she thinks that he is drunk and asleep, she starts searching him. She tries to open the buttons of his shirt because she wants to check the scar on his abdomen. But at that time, Chen Mu opens his eyes and pulls her towards him. He says, "It is dangerous to open a drunk man's shirt." She says, "I need to check the scar. I have come to know that you are not Zhao Mu, but Chen Mu." He says, "Yes, it is true, I am Chen Mu." Then she says, "This means that you are my dad's murderer." But he says, "It is true that I changed my identity and came here as Zhao Mu, but it does not mean that I killed your dad. I have my own personal reasons and I will never hurt you. So not waste your time suspecting me. Better you look at the people around you. Do you know their true nature?" Then he leaves. Chen Mu goes to Zhao Mu and grabs his collar. Because Zhao Mu had given this information to Linson, Zhao Mu says, "I cannot see you in trouble. You are risking your life because of her. You are entering her house just to steal those documents from her dad. But risking yourself for her is nonsense. Don't forget that she is the daughter of your dad's enemy." The next morning, Linson is waiting for Chen Mu to come to work. She thinks he may have left the job and ran away, but Chen Mu arrives. He brings a special information. Then he takes her to her maid who had left the job. Actually, that maid was forced to leave the job. She tells her, "The day you fell down the stairs, your dad took you to the hospital himself. After that, he went back to his study and Chishan and Yue Wei were there to meet him. After a while, I saw him unconscious and looked like he was going to die. At that time, Chishan and Yue Wei were near him." From this, Linson starts suspecting them. She realizes that these are the faces Chen Mu had warned her about. They lied to her and said that they did not meet her dad on the last day. After hearing this, Linson gets upset and starts drinking. Chen Mu says, "Don't you suspect Chishan? He has a different face. After your dad's death, many shareholders transferred their shares in his name. He was there with your dad when he died." But she starts crying and says, "Chishan loves me very much. I had an accident a few years ago. He saved my life, and in saving me, he himself was about to die." Chen Mu asks her, "How do you know he saved you in that accident?" She says, "I only remember that there was a scar on the waist of the person who saved me, and I saw the same scar on Chishan's waist." After hearing this, Chen Mu gets very upset and starts saying, "It's not right to believe just because of a scar on a person's body." Then he starts looking at her and thinks, "When I'll find the evidence against your family, how hurt you will be." The next morning, Linson goes to Yue Wei's room, but she did not know that Chishan was hiding there too. She goes to Yue Wei and asks her, "Give me the memory card, the one that has the last footage of my dad. When my eyesight is back, I will see that footage." But Yue Wei says, "It had your bad memories, so I destroyed it." Then she calms Linson down and sends her out of the room. She starts telling Chishan, "She came to me yesterday and gave me a USB drive. It had some details about a boy named Chen Mu." Qishan is stunned after listening to this and says, Chenmu, this is the name of the guy I hired to change his dad's will. Now, both of them get scared because they think that Linson might suspect them. Linson asks Chenmu, if you have a hacker, I need to get some information from him about Yue Wei. Actually, Zhao Mu was also doing this type of work, so he takes her for dinner that night. As soon as she finds out that this is the real Zhao Mu who was supposed to be her bodyguard, she immediately gets up and starts checking him by touching him. Chenmu grabs her and makes her sit down and says, are you crazy? You are touching a guy? Actually, Chenmu never wanted Linson to be this close to any man, the way she was being with Chenmu. Then, she says to Zhao Mu, this file has Yue Wei's details. Investigate it and tell me. I think that she can be bought with money because she was just a maid's daughter. As soon as both of them reach home, Qishan gets angry at Linson and says, why didn't you pick up my call? She says, I had forgotten my phone at home. Then, Qishan forcefully grabs her hand and starts twisting it. But Chenmu stops him and says, I am her bodyguard. I will not let anyone touch her. Linson send him out of the house. After that, she fights a lot with Qishan. She says, the way you treated me today, our relationship will not be the same anymore. You were disrespectful. Qishan, who was angry earlier, changes his tone and starts apologizing to her, holding her hand. He says, I was just worried about you. As soon as Linson goes to her room, Qishan, Yue Wei, and Chenmu start a meeting. Qishan says, I came to know that you are the fake bodyguard. You were a medical student. Along with this, I also knows that you are the son of Mr. Chen, the employer of the Chen Group. Chenmu also changes his tone and says, you know me so well, but I also know you very well. You are close to Linson because you want her shares. My mission is to help you get everything. In return, you will give me 10% of it. But my one condition is, keep your eyes on money. Do not try to harm Linson. He asks them, are you two interested in my fiancé? He says, what's the difference even if I am? You have Yue Wei, right? He leaves after threatening them. If someone tries to hurt Linson or tries to touch her, I will never spare you. After that, Chenmu goes to meet a lawyer. Mr. Lin was his client. She tells him when he heard the news of Mr. Chen's death, Mr. Lin was very sad. He transferred 51% shares in the name of Mr. Chen's son, which is Chenmu. He regretted it, so he wanted to merge the Chen Group and the Lin Group. Actually, Mr. Lin was the one who cheated Mr. Chen, but before death, he regrets it. Zhao Mu tells Chenmu, you have got everything back, so leave this dangerous job and come back. But Chenmu did not want to leave Linson in the middle of her enemies and return. Zhao Mu gets angry at him and says, your dad was my dad too. He adopted me and raised me. Your mom has been in a coma since then. Take care of her. Are you get crazy because of that girl? Are you addicted to her or fallen in love with her? Chenmu just leaves silently. When he goes to Linson, she says, I am even addicted to your scent now and I feel very protected when you are with me. The next day, Chenmu did not come to work, but Zhao Mu calls Linson and asks her to meet outside. Linson was very curious to know about Yue Wei, so she goes to meet Zhao Mu. But Zhao Mu had given money to two men to scare Linson and make her believe that the bodyguard is a threat to her and that she should fire him. But Yue Wei had given double the amount to those men to harass Linson and touch her. She was making a video of all this and enjoying it. As soon as Chenmu comes to know that Zhao Mu did such a thing, he grabs his collar and immediately goes to the place where Linson was being attacked. He goes there and saves her. Those goons had attacked her, so he takes off his coat to cover her. He apologizes to her, saying, I got late. After beating those goons, he goes to Zhao Mu and hits him. This was the first time he got angry at him, but Chenmu gets to know that Zhao Mu did not order him to do anything. It was Yue Wei who did this. So they grabs her. Chenmu also snatches her phone and deletes the video of Linson. In anger, he destroys his phone and says, I had told you that my anger is very bad. Yue Wei is begging for forgiveness from Linson, trying to save herself. But later she sits with Qishan and cries. And Qishan is also angry at her, saying, why are you doing such things? Our mission is to get Linson's wealth. You are doing such weird things. But he did not know that girls have a tendency to be jealous, which Yue Wei had for Linson, and now Linson also suspects Yue Wei because she thinks that it was Yue Wei who ordered those goons to touch her, not Zhao Mu, because those goons had said that we do not know the girl who ordered them to do this, but they mentioned that she was wearing a necklace. This necklace was worn by Yue Wei since childhood. But at the end, Qishan arrives. He calms Linson down and tells her everything in a way that her suspicion falls on Chenmu and his friend. He also shows her the recording of himself and Chenmu. In this recording, he says, I want to grab her wealth. and if we get it, I will give you 10% of it. I will support you. After listening to this, Linson is confused. She is not sure who is cheating on her. He says, Chen Mu is trying to make you suspect me. That's why he framed Yue Wei. And he also reminds her, you had seen him at your house that night. You had said that you suspect him and he might be trying to change your dad's will. After listening to all this, Linson gets very upset and goes to the bathtub. She cannot understand whom to trust. Everyone is deceiving her. As soon as she comes out of the bathtub, she slips and falls. She gets hurt on her head. Chen Mu arrives there, carries her, and brings her outside. Then she says, Qishan told me everything. Are you after my money? Chen Mu says, learn to trust someone. Maybe I did it because of some plan, or maybe my relationship with your family is very complicated. I will tell you when the time is right. After a while, she gets back her eyesight after the head injury. She was so excited and was going to tell Qishan that, but she hears some noise from Yue Wei's room. She gets scared and finds out that Qishan is cheating on her, but she acts like she did not see anything. She goes to Yue Wei and sits down quietly. She says, I was going to meet you. I had a bad dream, but now my eyes are open because of that dream. She leaves after breaking down. Then she sits outside and cries. She suspected them of wanting her money, but she never thought that he would cheat on her. The next morning, she goes to meet Chen Mu at his house. At that time, he has just got out of the shower. As soon as she sees him, she says, I saw Qishan and Yue Wei yesterday. He is stunned. She says, my eyesight is back. Listening to this, he wanted to hide his face, but she sees his face and says, you are the one who came to my house the day my dad died. He says, yes, I am the one, but it doesn't mean that I killed your dad. Yes, I had a fight with your dad. Linson gets angry at him and starts beating him. She says, I don't know whom to trust anymore. You all are deceiving me. Chen Mu grabs her and says, I was hired by Qishan to change your dad's will, but I did not kill him. I swear. But she is not paying attention to him. He grabs her and starts kissing her to calm her down. She pushes him away and says, you are shameless. Then she throws away the necklace that he had given her and leaves from there. After she leaves, Chen Mu gets very sad and starts drinking. Zhao Mu tells him, see, I had told you, don't fall in love. It will only cause you trouble. But Chen Mu is not worried about himself. He is only worried about Linson. Zhao Mu says, now she has seen everything. Stay away from her so that she does not get hurt. From the next day, he stops coming to work. Then a lawyer comes to meet her to give her the will of her dad. Qishan is very worried because her dad has written his shares and all the rest of his property and money in her name. Seeing this, both of their faces turned pale. Linson can notice this, but she pretends like she did not see anything. She just starts putting her thumbprint on the will, but she shows them that she can't see anything. Linson is sure that Chen Mu did not betray her. At that time, Zhao Mu comes to meet her. He starts saying, Chen Mu is so hurt because of you. He drinks all day and night. Do you even know how many times he risked his life for you? He is doing all this because he loves you. After listening to this, Linson gets stunned. Then she goes to meet Chen Mu. At that time, he was at home. She tells him, from now on, you will not be my bodyguard, but my personal assistant. After hearing this, he gets shocked and embarrassed. She also says, I know you like me, so it will be better to keep you in front of me. Chen Mu shows her a document and says, see, your dad had written this much in your will because he knew that you are in danger. He was suspicious that Qishan might try to take the property from you by harming you. After hearing this, Linson says, let's go to work together now. As soon as she takes Chen Mu home, Qishan and Yue Wei get shocked because now he has become her assistant. But she says, if he is my enemy, then keeping him close to me will be better for me. Qishan wants to stop her, but he cannot because she might start suspecting him. Linson says, my birthday is after 2 days, and we will celebrate it very well. At her birthday party, Yue Wei is also there. After giving her birthday wishes, they start talking about gifts. Linson deliberately says, my best gift was the one that Qishan gave me. He gave me an engagement ring, but it is lost. Then, she starts telling about the signs of the ring and grabs Yue Wei's hand. Everyone there could see that the ring which Linson is describing is on Yue Wei's finger. They says, did you steal her ring? But she starts saying, why would I steal her ring? She is my childhood friend. She picks up the ring in her hand and says, do you want to steal my fiancé too? Everyone there insults Yue Wei. Qishan is standing quietly because he cannot accept Yue Wei in front of the world. After everyone insults Yue Wei, Linsun sits comfortably and enjoys the situation. But Chen Mu comes to her and says, there is no need to fight with them. But she says, if they know how to play, I also know. See, today Qishan didn't support her. She is very upset about it. I will create a rift between them and separate them. Chen Mu says, it is good that Qishan stayed quiet today, but it does not mean that you can get close to him. He is a dangerous man. Actually, Chen Mu is also jealous. Then, Yue Wei goes to Qishan and starts apologizing. She asks Het to throw her out of the house, saying, I am your childhood friend. Linsun forgives her because she wants to keep an eye on her. But after apologizing to Linsun, Yue Wei goes to Qishan and says, why you didn't take my side? Qishan says, you weren't careful and my plan was going to be ruined. But Qishan still suspects Chen Mu. He says, I think Chan told Linsun about our relationship. That's why she is suspecting us. Now, he decides, I will get rid of Chen Mu. He contacts a gangster organization. The next day, Yue Wei is taking care of Linsun. When they are returning from the hospital, some goons attack them. But this attack was actually for Chen Mu. He manages to run away Linsun from there. But when Linsun reaches home, she is very worried about Chen Mu. When he comes back, she hugs him and says, I was worried about you. She gets scared because there is a wound on his shoulder. But Chen Mu kisses her and says, don't worry, it's not my blood. Chen Mu is very happy that Linsun is worried for him. But on the other hand, Yue Wei goes to Qishan and says, when those goons suddenly appeared, she acted like she can see, but I'm not sure if she got her eyesight back. We should be careful in the future. Later, Chen Mu is very worried about Linsun, but he tells her, you have to be careful in the future and don't take any risk. The goons who came yesterday were for me. After hearing this, Linsun is also worried. He is in danger because of her. He asks her, are you so worried about me? Are you liking me? But she says, no, you are my employee. It is my duty to care about you, otherwise whom should I order? Then, that night, she stealthily goes to her dad's study, which was now under Qishan's use. There, she sees a document containing an insurance contract. She finds out that Qishan and Yue Wei got her insured for 60 million and also stole money from her account. But as soon as Qishan was about to come upstairs, she hides behind the wall and starts listening to them. Qishan realizes that someone had been to the study earlier because a file was not in its place. As soon as he was about to catch Linsun, Chen Mu arrives there. He distracts Qishan and says to him, you sent those goons to kill me. Why did you do this? I was ready to cooperate with you. Then he takes Qishan downstairs and saves Linsun. He gives him a contact and tells him, the money you get from your her account by fraud can be legally transferred to your account. He gives him a card of a person who works in the underworld who can help him, and then leaves from there. He goes to Linsun and shouts at her, why did you do such a thing? But Linsun is sitting sadly and says, those people are trying to kill me. They insured me and stole money from my account. Chen Mu says, don't worry, no such danger will come to you. If you need to find any evidence, I will do it. Your safety is my responsibility. Meanwhile, Qishan asked Underworld Contact to transfer his money and already got cheated by him. Along with that, Qishan also learns that they have been searching for the shares of Mr. Lin, and they are actually with Chen Mu, the 51% shares of the company. As soon as he finds out this, he is shocked. He calls Chen Mu to talk about this. Chen Mu says, now you know my reality. Yes, I have those shares and it's okay. You also cheated Linsun by taking money from her. I also cheated her to get the money. You don't have any evidence against me, and even if you call the police, they will have to investigate a lot of things, including the murder of her father. Also, you will be caught within a few days because Linsun has kept her dad's hair, and she will definitely get a DNA test done. Actually, it was a trap set by Chen Mu. Later on, they see on a camera that they installed in the room, Qishan enters Linsun's room and trying to find that hair. Actually, he had lied to Qishan. He took the hair, and Linsun is completely sure that Qishan killed her dad. She is very sad. Then, she goes to her dad's study. Qishan also comes there. He had already suspected Linsun because of her words. So, he tries to test her. He comes near her with a pen and tries to touch her eyes, but she does not blink. After that, she takes a seal and leaves from there. As soon as she reaches the room, Chen Mu kisses her. And he starts saying, I have told you many times that you are precious. Don't take such risks and don't do such things. And for the first time, Linsun kisses him back. Now, Chen Mu is returning from the hospital after visiting his mother. Linsun is also with him. He tells her about his difficult times when his dad's company went bankrupt. He had to do odd jobs. He even had to leave his studies to pay his mother's hospital bills. Because of this, he went to Linsun's house to change her dad's will. He is still ashamed of that. Linsun feels sympathy for him. She holds him tight. But at that time, a goon appears in front of them. Meanwhile, he managed to Linsun run away. He attacked Chen Mu, But after a while, Linson comes back. She acted as if she had called the police and made a fake siren sound. Now she takes him home and bandages his wounds. She says, "How many times will you save me like this?" He says, "I am a professional, don't worry too much." Chenmu tells her to promise, "If anything happens to me, you will not fight Chishan yourself. You will go directly to the police. I have kept some evidence of his fraud. He will be immediately sent to jail." Listening to this, Linson gets scared because he is talking about his death. He calms her down and kisses on her forehead. After that, he goes to Chishan and grabs his collar. He says to him, "You are sending goons to me again and again." Chishan says, "Yes, I have paid that organization to kill you. They will attack you 3 times. They have never missed their target." Chenmu says, "If I kill you now, then no one will be left, and they won't attack me." A deal is made between them because Chenmu is afraid that Linson might also get hurt because of him. Qishen says, "If you transfer 51% of Lin Group's shares in my name, and if you leave Linson's life, I will guarantee her safety." Chenmu is about to leave, saying, "I don't care about the shares. Linson is the most important to me." As soon as he enters the room, he finds that Linson has ordered a cake for his birthday. He had not celebrated his birthday for many years. He says to her, "I need a birthday present." He wants to kiss her. At first, she hesitates, but then she kisses him. Chenmu is very happy and kisses her back. While they are kissing, go ahead and subscribe to our channel and also take a look at the products we've tagged. The next day, Linson finds out that Chenmu has a scar on his back. This scar came from an incident a few years ago. Linson was in danger. Her car was about to explode. Chenmu risked his life and saved her. As he was coming out, he got injured by a shard of glass on his back. But she feels that Chishan was the one who saved her a few years ago. This is why she had chosen him as her fiancé and trusted him. Then, in the evening, both of them stand together and watch the sunset. Chenmu asks her, "You know my feelings, but I want to hear it from you. What are your feelings for me?" Linson says, "Last night when I kissed you, you would have understood my feelings." Both of them smile and look very happy. But the next morning, Linson wakes up and finds that Chenmu is not at home. She feels that he left me. She does not even have his number. But Chenmu is doing this to protect Linson. He will face the 3rd attack alone to protect Linson. He tells Zhaomu, "I know that this attack will be the deadliest one." Then he gives him a lot of money and his credit card and says, "If something happens to me, give this money to Linson and also the shares of her dad." Zhaomu gets angry after hearing this because he cannot imagine Chenmu getting hurt, but Chenmu had made a promise to him to protect Linson. So he goes to protect Linson. He stays at a distance from her. Linson catches him red-handed and says, "You are not as smart as my Chenmu. Please take me to him." But he says, "I will never do that." But she starts following him. Then, they show Chenmu who has saved himself in the last attack. The organization ends the contract W by giving him a letter and saying, "We won't come after you anymore. This is our 3 attempts rule. You have escaped. You are incredible." But Zhao Mu had called Chenmu home pretending that Linson is in danger. Then, he sees both of them sitting drunk. Zhao Mu says, "I am sorry. This girl trapped me and challenged me to drink, but I lost. I am leaving." Linson is drunk and she starts getting close to Chenmu and says, "I love you so much, I cannot live without you." Chenmu is about to kiss her, but then he faints. The next morning, Linson makes breakfast for him. She says, "I was drunk yesterday, so I could not see your injury." Now she is going to make coffee for him. But he stops her and says, "Let's continue what we didn't finish last night." He was about to kiss her, but she pushes him away and goes to take coffee beans. While searching for coffee beans, she finds some documents. She reads them and gets shocked. She finds out that her dad had transferred 50% shares in the name of Chenmu. Why did he do this? Along with that, Chenmu has kept all the details of Linson, her likes, dislikes, her biodata. It seems that he has deliberately entered her life to target her. She asks him, "What is all this?" He says, "There is a secret, and if I tell you what the differences between our families are, then our relationship will not be the same, and you will leave me." Linson says, "If you are not telling me the truth, I will not stay with you anymore." Then she leaves. Yue Wei comes to Linson. Now, Linson is not acting blind. Yue Wei says, "I had already suspected you. You are fine." She starts taunting her. She says, "You trust Chenmu so much, right? Your dad killed his dad. You think your dad was a great man, he was that kind of person." On the other hand, Qishan is in a bad state because he finds out that the 3rd attack on Chenmu was failed. He thought, "Now I have lost badly. I even paid a lot of money to get rid of him. He stole my 60 million and 51% shares. I have nothing left except to marry Linson and get something from her." Yue Wei is heartbroken after hearing this. She thinks that Qishan has been using her for so long, and has no feelings for her. Chishan comes to Linson and apologizes. He says, Yue Wei instigated me, and because of that, I spoke to you badly. But Linson says, I saw you stealing my dad's hair because you had killed him. You came to my room for that. Then he shows his true colors and says, yes, I killed your dad. Are you not scared that I will kill you too? She says, okay, if you have the guts, then show it. After hearing this, Chishan says, I will not kill you. I will marry you. Then he tries to force her, but Chenmu arrives and saves Linson. He beats up Chishan and then scolds her, saying, you were installing a camera to get evidence against him. I told you not to put yourself in danger. Along with that, he tells Linson, I did not tell you this because you won't be able to love me. Your dad did something to my dad. Linson says, you have done so much for me that I cannot even repay you. Your family is ruined because of me and my dad. I am also guilty somewhere, so please stay away from me. Then she forces him to leave, but he still does his duty. He stays with her as a bodyguard or assistant, but keeps a distance from her. She has become very cold. Even if she is going somewhere, he gets wet in the rain, but doesn't come under her umbrella. Because of this, he falls sick. When Linson finds out that he is sick, she gets worried and goes to see him. Chenmu says, why are you lying? You are also worried about me. Then she starts saying, I do not love you, and I am not worried about you. You are meaningless in my life. After listening to this, he kisses her, and she kisses him back. With this, they forget all their hatred and past and spend quality time together. Then one day Chishan calls Linson to meet him. He starts threatening her, saying, your company shares will fall. I will make propaganda against you. We are my fiancés, so get married quietly. This company is the last sign of your dad. Save it. If you don't agree with me, then I will harm Chenmu too. After listening to him, Linson gets scared. When she comes back, Chenmu hugs her and says, I saw in my dream that you left me. But Linson says, nothing like that happened. I went out to get some food. Then she goes to meet Yue Wei. She takes off her engagement ring and gives it to Yue Wei. She says, I still hate Chishan, but I am more hurt because of your betrayal. You were my childhood friend. She tells Yue Wei, you always wanted to wear this ring. I am leaving it for you. Then Chenmu comes to know one more thing. Linson's and Chishan's father both were together. Chishen's father provoked her dad to cheat on Chanmu's father. After hearing this, he goes to meet Yue Wei and says, the footage you had, the one from the last day of Mr. Lin's, there was something against Chishan in it, which you had edited. If you want to return it someday, contact me. He leaves from there. Then Chishen finds out that Yue Wei still had that footage, in which Chishan is caught. A fight breaks out between them. Chishan grabs a weapon and attacks Yue Wei. He wants to get rid of her so that no evidence is left against him. Then, he clears his laptop and a memory card and leaves her house. Meanwhile, Linson and Chenmu sitting together. Linson had given him a lot of drinks and was talking sweet things to him. Chenmu gets suspicious and feels that she is doing this deliberately. The next morning, when she wakes up, Chenmu had already left. She finds a ladder that says, I am your bodyguard, and I will always protect you. Chenmu had gone to meet Chishan for the last time. Chishan says, you have taken everything from me. I will take revenge. Chenmu says, I am ready to die. Just don't harm Linson. He says, I will fight all your goons, and if I survive today, then you will leave Linson's life. Then, a fight breaks out between them because there were many goons there. Meanwhile, Zhao Mu going to meet Yue Wei, but he finds only her body. She was holding a memory card. She was successful in hiding it. This card had a copy of that video, in which Chishan was caught killing Mr. Lin. Meanwhile, Chenmu is fighting valiantly. He is badly injured, but Chishan comes there and says, I have not started beating you yet. And at the right time, Linson also reaches there to save Chenmu. Seeing their love, Chishan gets angry. He grabs Linson and says to Chenmu, come down and beg in front of me for Linson. Linson tries to stop him, but Chenmu goes down and apologizes to him. To tease him, Chishan starts kissing her. But Chenmu gets up and snatches the knife from his hand. A fight breaks out between them. Chishan gets badly injured. At the end, Chenmu is also in a bad state. It seems like he will also not survive. Linson starts crying and calls for an ambulance. Chenmu says to her, I told you don't put yourself in danger. Then he faints. After that, all the evidence against Chishan is found, and the case of fraud and murder is filed against him. He is sentenced. After that, Linson is preparing a bouquet to visit her dad's grave. As soon as she comes out, she sees Chenmu standing perfectly fine. He has become her bodyguard for life. They are both looking very happy. Everything is set in their life, and this is how the story ends happily. The story begins with the marriage of the male lead, Yeonwoo, and the female lead, Hae-in. Through a voiceover, Yeonwoo tells us that people could say, "My wedding is the wedding of the century." After this, we see many sweet scenes between them, which make us feel that they are very happy in their married life. Then we see that Yeonwoo was saying all this during an interview. "It's been 3 years since our marriage. People always ask me how it feels to be the husband of a queen. My answer is that I'm just a lucky man who got to marry the person I love." At the same time, Hae-in is also being interviewed. She says, "I know people still gossip that Yeonwoo married me only because of my family and wealth. But these rumors started spreading only because I hadn't revealed my face to the world. But from now on, I am revealing my face." This makes the interviewers fall silent. We see that Yeonwoo and Hae-in live in separate rooms. They eat together but sit at opposite ends of the dining table. Hae-in is the CEO of Queen Group, and Yeonwoo is the lawyer. Yeonwoo's face drops for a moment, but then he forces a fake smile. If you're eager to keep watching this drama, you can find the link in the description and the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update.